Hey everybody, wish I could give you a better sit. Oh, there you go, better video. There you go, better angle. I wanted to talk to you all about something I thought about the other day. I was talking to a friend of mine at work. I wanted to talk about the Don Quixote Complex. Hey, I think of Don Quixote, what is that? Well, for those of you who don't know literature that well, let me explain. Don Quixote is a Spanish tale by Miguel de Cervantes, I believe it is. Anyways, he wrote a story about a wealthy man who for some reason locked himself up and did nothing but read about the ancient knights and their chivalry and tales of glory and all that. So he stayed in his studies so long and inundated himself with all these stories about knights and all that he decided to become a knight himself. And the whole story is about him doing these ludicrous acts because he believes he's a knight. And like the most famous one is him attacking windmills, thinking they're giants. So obviously a delusional guy that somebody decided to write a story about. So where am I getting with this idea of the Don Quixote Complex? Well, we can get that as firearm owners or defensive-minded people. What am I talking about? Well, we study, we learn, we read, we watch a bunch of YouTube about all this stuff about defensive stories and what would you do if this scenario and I have this handgun which holds this many rounds, therefore I can do this, and I trained with my handgun this way, or all the stuff I trained so that I'll be able to do this with it. And we work up a sort of commando complex where we think, we can just run in and take care of the situation. We'll be the hero, and but that's not the case. Real world scenario. Obviously, this is where a conversation me and my friend came from. We heard a sad statistic that 1 in 4 women in America, I think it might be America, but in the world period, but let's just act like it's just America. 1 in 4 women will experience severe domestic violence and abuse. As sad as that was, something. I'm not a nice person when I'm mad. So when I hear a statistic like that, something gets mad at me because why do men treat wives, daughters, whatever, girlfriend? Why do they treat the females like that? I can't understand that. So I asked my friend, well, if you're walking in a neighborhood and you're just walking around because you need to clear your head or different stuff like that. It's a nice day out, so you decide to take a walk, whatever. You're taking a walk and you see some guy, you just look through the windows on the side of somebody's door and you see this guy just beating up his wife. What do? Do you just sit back and call the cops and watch this guy beat living daylights out of his wife? Or do you kick in the door and pop as many rounds into the fool as you can? The correct answer is hanging back and calling the cops. Because kicking in somebody's door is illegal, and killing somebody in their own house is technically illegal. Although in that scenario, I'm not sure. You might be justifiable in that case, but that's neither here or there. But that's exactly what I'm talking about in the Don Quixote Complex. You see a need arise. You see a need where you could use your firearm. You make the shots, and you go and intervene. But it's not exactly the way you should do it. That's not exactly what needs to be done. That's not exactly the right thing to do because you are kicking in somebody's door. You are intervening with a situation that has nothing to do with you. You're just a bystander walking by. Why do you have to intervene? Now, would it be the right thing to do? Probably, morally right thing to do? Probably, because the guy's doing violence to somebody he shouldn't. But that's exactly what we're talking about, Don Quixote Complex. Another scenario brought up. You're walking around in a neighborhood and say, look, you just glance over and it looks like a door got shot in. Do you go clear the house, make sure everybody is in there safe, or do you hold back and call the cops? Don Quixote Complex would mean you go charge, you charge the door, draw your firearm, shout if anybody's home, and you clear the building in a tactical manner. You know all the Israeli draw stuff, and you know all this YouTube ninja stuff. That's what the Don Quixote Complex would cause you to do. But realistically, here again, you would call the cops. Why? Because that's a smart thing to do. Why is it the smart thing to do? Why so many questions? Because I'm the one writing this video. I'm going to ask as many questions as I want to. But why do you hold back and call the cops? Well, because you don't know, number one, you don't know who shot in that door. Number two, you don't know how many of them are in the house. Number three, you don't know if the situation has already been resolved and if you're kicking in somebody's door looking like another perpetrator. Number four, you can go in doing the perfectly innocent thing and be framed as the one who shot up the house. I'm not sure if I mentioned number five. You could be kicking in a door of a organized crime where there's 5 different rifles and shotguns pointed at your head, and you just jumped into a river head first and hit rocks. So Don Quixote Complex could be easy to build up in this land of YouTube and keeping up with the defensive tactics and defensive nature of our lives. You can develop the Don Quixote Complex and think you're some knight that you are not. So I want us to be smart and intelligent people who act off of logic and reason and not emotions and instinct solely. Of course we should act on the Bible, but the Bible will always back logic and reason. So that's my thought for the week. Don't work up a Don Quixote Complex. Be smart, be legal, and just do the right thing. And with that, I'll remind you to walk a Christian walk and carry a loaded Glock.